Can people in the chat hear me? Tell me if I'm sounding loud enough. Good volume? Excellent. Good evening, and welcome to the very first EGI 2 6 or 7 out of 10 game reviews. Tonight we are going to be reviewing a game that many people have completely forgotten about. It's a classic game. It's a survival horror game that no one else is talking about. It's do you guys hear the sound? Do you guys hear the sound of a game? Is there a game sound happening right now? Might be a little bit too. No, I'm too loud. Mail Town. He says I'm. Oh, no, Allan. Yeah, no Allan tonight that we know of, but we are going to be going to try to just. I turned the volume down on my microphone a little bit now. How about now? I'm sounding okay? Sounding okay? Oh God. Damn it. There's a knob. It says it's green, but it's not. Game is very quiet, but that's okay. We want the game to be quiet. We can turn it up just a tiny tad. Just want to make sure that we are getting exactly the right amount of. We've got a lot of panels happening. We've got a lot of knobs. We've got a lot of buttons. We still got that hype train is going. We got 14 more seconds on the hype train with 51%. We could get to level 3 by the time who knows what if this matters. If anything matters, we're not going to get there. 4 seconds left to go. 3, 2, 1. No, level 2 is fine, folks. Everybody knows that level 2 is just fine. You can't get to. We got the level 1 hype train emote for some reason. I guess I'm not sure exactly what that does. I guess it just goes choo choo. So choo choo to everybody. Have a wonderful evening. We received another emote. I don't know what that. I'm just getting all these emotes. I don't know if Twitch is sending me these. If this is an automated. If this is an automated thing, or if it's just happening, if someone's sending them to me personally, if this is a great gift, then I apologize to you if I have not figured out who you are, if you are sending me those things. And if you are some sort of automation, then that is totally okay too. We accept all people and all automatons. At EGI 2, 6 out of 7, 6 out... We're... Welcome to EGI 2's 6 out of 7, 6 or 7, 6 2. It's actually 6 2. Is it? What do I call it? Okay, so it should have been called 6 2 7 out of 10 game reviews because 6 or 7 implies that we are only going to be doing reviews for games that are either 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, but what we are in fact doing are including all of the decimal points and tenths of points in, well, not just tenths, but more than fifths. Thank you for Indie Joe for subscribing for 2 months. Get ready for 2 more months of EGI 2's 6 2 7 out of 10. Hold on. So this is that was an EGI 2 first. We changed the title from 6 or 7 out of 10 games to 6 to 7 out of 10 games. And now I believe that all of the volume is Oh, we got Nami Nico is rating with a party of 3. Welcome, Nami Nico and the party of 3. I hope that everybody here tonight is a big fan of Extermination on the PlayStation 2, because this is the game, folks. This is the game that people are going to be talking about for a long time. For at least a few nights after people turn off EGI 2 game review. EGI 2 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews. Game review 1 Extermination. People are going to be talking about this. I promise you that they are going to be talking about Extermination on the PlayStation 2, an absolutely underappreciated. I won't call it a masterpiece, because it does in fact fall into that 6 to 7 out of 10 game score category. But I do believe that we are. But I do believe that by talking about it, we are learning about the history of our genre. We are not the subgenre of survival horror, but the greater genre of gaming as a whole. And if you're new to the show, I do consider gaming a genre unto itself. I won't back down from that perspective. It's what I believe in. It's what I've always believed in, and I will continue to I will continue to elucidate. I'm going to be talking about the video games as a genre until my body deteriorates fully, falls back into the big, great hole at the center of the earth, and particle come apart. I become the particles that everybody breathes in. Everybody breathes those particles in, and maybe one of those particles has a bit of a kernel of truth in it. And if that truth is that games are its own genre, then I've lived a full life, and I can die. I've died a good death. So with that said, let's dive right into things. People are so excited. I can see, looking through the entirety of the chat here, Stan Dealey has subscribed again for 3 months. Currently on a 3-month streak. Says yes, yeah, YEAA. That is exactly that's the kind of attitude that we want to have when we're going to talk about Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Because to be completely honest, Extermination on the PlayStation 2 did not make the kind of a splash that you would expect it to have made when it came out back in 2001, I believe. 2001 on the PlayStation 2, a classic, not only a classic of survival horror, but a generational leap forward for survival horror. Mossy Lumps, why are you going to do a special report of Allan tonight? Because Allan gave us... Okay, so the difference is that Allan gave a special report on Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on the Wii U, specifically an export that examined the not only the game itself, but also the import of the game. Not import as in like he imported the game from a different country, but the import of a game as a cultural touchstone. And if you can imagine people walking by single file through the cultural milieu, and tapping on the stone in that, and well, there's multiple. I suppose that there's multiple stone. That's why it's not, touchstone. That's why touchstone. That's why it's touchstone and not just touchstones. But this just in, breaking news, everybody. Allan Resnick is in fact here on EGI2's game reviews. Allan, you're here. Give me one moment, please. I do believe that we are about to. This is very first. We've never had Allan Resnick here on EGI2 game review. EGI2 6 to 7 out of 10 game reviews on EGI2. Reviews. Allan, are we able to hear you at all, Allan? I think we're having again a bit of a sound issue. We're always having sound issues. Not sure why exactly. Let's see if I can bring the audio settings up. Allan, I don't know why all of a sudden I can't. Allan, are you there?
You're okay.
Jesus.
So it was you, Cindy?
Can anyone hear? Can people hear Allan? We see Blue Allan voice, but we don't hear. We see Blue Allan face, but we don't hear Blue Allan voice. We just did it. We just checked this thing. For the love of all that's good and is gracious, in the name of
just leave me alone.
criminy is going on. Allan, are you there?
I'm here on a
Can
mission,
you
but I
just
knew you were here.
keep speaking? Sing us a little song. We're gonna try a couple different things to make sure, see if we can't get this thing to start giving us the goods.
I have nothing more to say.
Cindy,
Allan?
this is no time to fight.
Allan? Hey, little
Let's
Allan.
talk about it later.
Hey,
I
fella.
need some information.
Hey, guy.
here. Just what happened
Let's try to
this
reconnect. Let's just
compound.
try to reload the control room real fast here.
What's going on
Well, this is unexpectedly
Why did the military
this
send
is
your
unexpected
team
in a
to
couple
bomb
different
you?
ways. Allan, if you could just give us one quick second here, we're gonna come back to
It can't be saved.
see
Not even
why
by you, mighty
should be
Marines.
seeing
The Pentagon misjudged
desktop
this one.
audio. Desktop audio.
How do those monsters
This is
plug
great.
in?
I'm and what's important is that we're all while I'm maybe just doing this, let's just go ahead and take a look at this absolutely timeless extermination on the PlayStation 2 footage. This is one of the this is one of, if not the first, extermination games on the PlayStation 2 when it launched
Go back home with your colleagues.
at the turn of that 21st century, that wonderful 21st century in which we all find ourselves in right now.
This place to the ground.
Allan? Allan, I can hear you clicking.
I have some leftover business to attend to.
Allan, I can hear you clicking.
Take this key card.
I can't hear you, Robbie.
Ground with this. Use it to turn on the elevator.
Here, I'm chatting with you in the little video chat.
What about, how about now?
Go. You've got to find your team, haven't you?
Okay, we can hear, so people in the chat can hear Allan, so Allan, you are being heard.
I'm sorry about Roger.
I know.
I'm being heard, people can hear me, and I can hear Robbie, but I want everyone in the chat to know that I can only hear Robbie on a very big, long delay. And whenever we do these sort of streams without James, they don't work right.
Allan, can you hear me better now? Allan?
And someone tell Robbie to join the
Will you
little
be all
video
right
chat
alone,
that he
Cindy?
made me join.
I've joined.
I have something to do. You can reach
I
the
need you
ground
in the
level
video
in the
chat, otherwise it's not going to work.
underground
I
I'm
can-
hearing you.
you
I'm
can-
hearing you on twitch.tv.com/EGI on a long delay. If you want to talk to me, you call me on my phone, Robbie.
Oh, golly.
Someone in the chat, tell Robbie to call me on my phone.
Oh my goodness gracious. What the heck is going? Well, I hope everybody, while we're figuring this out, is enjoying this
Just call me on
lovely.
my phone.
I'm calling you on your.
Don't show the people my number. Just call me.
I'm gonna try to do what I can, Allan Resnick. I will be returning to you shortly.
Oh, Robbie, I think I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me?
I can hear you. Robbie, I can hear you.
Wonderful. We got it. We did it.
Okay, great.
All right. Now we could get. And now back to the show, Allan. There you are. Allan Resnick, welcome to the show. Welcome to EGI2's 627 out of 10 game reviews. 1 Extermination live on twitch.tv/EGI2.
Hi, everybody.
What, Allan? Now that you're here, we weren't expecting you here. It's lovely to see you. You've been thinking about it all night. I'm sure you've been wondering what game would we be reviewing tonight. We're reviewing Extermination for the PlayStation 2, the very first Extermination game for the PlayStation 2, seen here live for the very first time on this brand new sort of a sub program underneath the main programming that we do on EGI2.
This is exciting. This is exciting for me to see what kind of a game Robbie would review on an EGI2 type stream. And my understanding is this is on these kind of special Robbie streams. You're just going to be reviewing games that received a 6 or a 7.
Between 6, but it's games. It's not that they well, in many cases they have received those scores, but EGI2 stands by them as being worthy, or rather
something under research
deserving, and if not, if deserving, and
I'm going to ground level B wing. How do I get there?
deserving.
That must be where all
You got it.
friends
So
are,
it's,
huh?
I guess it's, what I'm trying to say is that these games that we will be reviewing on this show, and this, I do believe that this is the first out of many shows, Allan, that we will be, where we will be reviewing games that
Go out into the snowfield
received
and follow
between
the
6
bright light.
and 7 out of
You can't
10
miss it. It's
games
like the floodlights of a
scores.
football stadium.
Between
Under the light,
6 and
the
7,
building-
so
So
6
yes,
or 7?
6. No, not 6 or 7. Between 6
But
to
find
7.
the tool shed
So it
6
could be.
to
So
7,
some
so-
of these games could be receiving 6.1, 6.15. And even the granularity that these games, I believe, and that is the kind of game that we've been talking about for so long on EGI2, are games that absolutely deserve a more significant level of consideration than the hard out that is a 6 or a 7. So it's 6
There's
to
a
7.
spectrum between 6 and 7, and the games you like are on this spectrum between 6 and 7.
Most of the games that we will be reviewing on this show, which is 4, 6 to 7 out of 7 out of 10 games, we'll be reviewing them. So let's see what people are in the chat are saying about Extermination on the PlayStation 2. If they're excited about Extermination, if they've been looking forward to seeing live Extermination footage never before seen on EGI2, and I believe if we were to look in most other channels that may have tagged Extermination 2, I don't think that you'd be seeing the same game footage, Allan.
That's right. And what game is this?
This is Extermination on the PlayStation 2. It's a survival horror game. It's a game that pulls no punches when it comes to telling the story that it needs to tell. It starts with a bang, and it keeps banging away. The guns keep firing. The doors keep opening. The maps keep kind of expanding and contracting as the sub menus are opened. And the doors are opened and shut, and different rooms are loaded, and different, as you can see here, Allan. You can see different cutscenes, and some cutscenes are in-game engine cutscenes, and some games are pre-rendered cutscenes, and it's always fun to stumble into some sort of a sequence or a bit of a story. What is it when a story has a specific moment in time?
When a story has a specific big moment in time.
Yeah, so it's like it's like something that happens.
An event.
An event. So all these events that happen in Extermination on the PlayStation 2 are happening right now to the EGI2 family, and by that, you can kind of imagine that extends to us, doesn't it?
It's one of my favorite games, actually. I have played this game, and it is a wonderful game that I have played. And I would, if I had to review it, I'd probably give it a 6 or 7 out of 10.
It's between 6 and 7 out of 10.
Between 6 and a 7, I would probably do I'd probably do 6.5.
6.5 out of 10. And what?
Pushed me up against the wall and made me review it.
I've got you up against the wall. I've got my hand on your chest, and I'm pressing against the chest, and maybe you can feel those little ribs of yours kind of creaking a little bit, because I'm demanding from you the score between 6 and 7 out of 10.
That's right, Robbie. I can feel your big hand on my chest, kind of pushing. You know, when you like, I almost feel like my chest is like a CPR dummy chest, in that it's concaving with a pressure of your big hand onto it, and it's warm and it's keeping me warm because the rest of my body is quite cold. So I am up against the wall. And the wall is one of those rough, exposed brick walls, so it's scratching my back. And I'm up against the wall reviewing this game that I have played for the PlayStation 2. Oops. And I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Back to you, Robbie.
Sorry, I'm telling people to sound off in the chat if Allan is up against the wall.
Yeah, sound off in the chat if I'm up against the wall and if you can see that visually. I don't know if I'm on screen right now, but maybe if you're looking on screen, you can see that I'm up against a wall.
Where are you?
I'm up against the wall.
So Allan is up against the wall. Sound off in the chat if Allan is up against the wall. He's and your demand, and imagine that everybody in the chat, if you can imagine that you're me with the big hand, and I think in this story scenario, my hand would be maybe 2 to 3.5 times bigger.
Do this if you're in the chat and you have a laptop. Go full screen on this.
Go full screen. We're full screen, Allan.
Your hand will be Robbie's hand, and I'll be up against the wall, and I'll review the game.
So everybody, put your hands up against the screen and say, Allan, you scrawny little devil. I'm here because I can't bear another moment of my life. I can't bear another moment on this planet. I can't see out of the window of my own house because all I can see is extermination on the PlayStation 2 and what you are withholding from me, which is your personal score for Extermination, the survival horror classic for the PlayStation 2.
Don't hurt me. If I had to pick, a 6.5 out of 10. Back to you.
Back to you, Allan, and that is absolutely an amazing score received for Extermination on the PlayStation 2 by me from EGI special correspondent Allan Resnick. Back to you, Allan.
Back to you.
And why?
I'm glad I could. I'm glad we got the tech worked out, and I'm glad I was able to be here to be put up against the wall by Robbie and the collective EGI family. I felt that entire hand of the family. So thank you for touching me on my chest. Thank
you, everybody, for reaching out and touching Allan and using your physical strength and your mental willingness to pull and prod and if need be, torment to get at that absolute truth that we require as a society to move forward with the score with the score for Extermination on the PlayStation 2. And Allan, we've been talking a little bit now, and I'm wondering what people think about Extermination 2, and I assume that a lot of people already know what Extermination for the PlayStation 2 is, but some people might not. And so I figured what better way to introduce the game that we will be reviewing tonight, that you have already kind of preemptively given your stamp of 6.5 out of 10 on. What better way to reintroduce the game than with a special video that introduced the world to the world of Extermination at trade shows worldwide in the lead up to its release.
I would love to see that.
This summer, you will go on a mission deep into the Antarctic where a terrible threat awaits. Fear and danger wait at every turn. A mission that you may not survive. This is Extermination. From Takuro Fujiwara and his team at Deep Space, Extermination will take you places you've never been before.
Extermination takes place at an underground research facility at the South Pole. Because of the extremely low temperatures, they're able to conduct experiments on dangerous viruses. Suddenly, a distress signal is sent from the base, and all communications are cut off.
When Dennis Riley and his partners in the Marine Special Forces Red Light Team arrive at the top-secret Antarctic base, they find that infected mutants have taken the base over, and that they are hell-bent on infecting the members of Red Light with their deadly virus.
Well, there are creatures in the facility that have violently mutated. They spit a green substance, and the infection that they're carrying is spread through that substance. At first, when you become infected with the virus,
Take this!
you can cure yourself with medicine. You can recover.
The antibodies will temporarily ward off infection.
But if you get 100% infected, you can't cure yourself with the regular vaccine anymore. You need to find a treatment pod. When you're infected, your body gets eaten away from the inside. Your strength diminishes over time. When you've deteriorated completely, it's game over.
Deadly mutants, a lethal virus, danger at every turn. Sounds like a classic formula for an action movie, and that's exactly what Deep Space is aimed to create in Extermination. An action movie where the player is immersed into a world where his actions, his fear, and his wits are what control the outcome.
We all see tons of films, and they all affect us differently. They move us, or they excite us. So we wanted to make the action in games feel more like a film. We thought that the gameplay would have a better feel to it. You'd get the full flavor and power of it all. So to make this a reality, we developed the Region Action System. And I think that clearly distinguishes this game from other action games.
With the Region Action System, you control the character's movement with just one button. For example, when you need to jump, hitting the action button will make you jump. If you need to climb, just hit the same button. It makes the controls streamlined and easy to use.
From the player's point of view, you're closer to being able to react to the game on a split-second, gut basis.
Other than his teammates, Sergeant Riley has one crucial companion in the Antarctic cold, his advanced, highly customizable assault rifle, the SPR-4.
The player can rapidly customize the SPR-4. They can find attachments to make it into a flamethrower, a grenade launcher, or numerous other weapons.
From the executive producer of Biohazard and the creator of Mega Man, Extermination is the next step forward. You'll be amazed at the realism as weapons experts were called in to work on the project.
We worked with Mr. Ichiro Nagata. This man is knowledgeable in military affairs. He writes articles for Combat Magazine, so he's extremely famous in Japan. He not only supervised the parts of the game having to do with guns and other firearms, he gave us all sorts of advice, such as how the characters should handle the weapons, how they should look while they're firing. We even took some of the movement in the game from the demonstrations he gave us.
From the detailed weaponry to movie-quality cutscenes that lead you through the story to the explosive gameplay, Extermination is a summer blockbuster you won't want to miss.
So, Allan, welcome to the endangered species list. What do you think about Extermination? What have you seen so far, and what are you willing to change about that 6.5 out of 7 score?
I wouldn't change a thing. The trailer that you showed was quite interesting and enthralling. I was enthralled by that. I felt like watching the trailer, I was being pushed up against the wall by the video I saw.
Being pushed up against the wall by none other than Sergeant Dennis Riley. So it's right here, the plot has been printed out for Extermination on December 24th. That's Christmas Eve, Allan. Imagine Christmas Eve. Imagine what you were doing on Christmas Eve 2005. I read that as
Christmas Eve 2005. I won't forget. I do remember that quite well. I was up in my room, shaking like crazy and banging on the door, just so excited to run down the steps of my house. My house had steps. And I did run down them quite quick and bonk my head. And I was going to run down as soon as the clock struck Christmas and open what I hoped would be Extraction on the PlayStation 2, which of course wasn't out yet because they had just announced it.
No, it's 2000. So PlayStation 2. No, so the story takes place at the beginning, at the end. The end of 2005, but the game was actually released in 2001. Allan.
Oh, right. Yes, I knew that, and I played it when it came out. I know everything about. I have played the game, and it is a fun game, and that's why I'm so confident in my review score of 6.5. I was confused, and I apologize for being confused. And I never want to be wrong in front of you.
Imagine that there are people out there in the EGI2 chat that weren't even born yet when Extermination was released on the PlayStation 2, very near to the launch date. I believe it. Very near to the launch date.
I find that very hard to believe, Robbie.
Okay. On December 24th, 2005, Sergeant Dennis Riley, member of the Special U.S. Marine Team Red Light. The team is called Team Red. Is the team called? Now this has always been an issue with me, Allan. Is the team called Red Light or is it Team Red Light?
Team Red Light? What was the question? Can you ask it again?
On December 24th, 2005, Sergeant Dennis Riley, member of the Special U.S. Marine Team Red Light. Now, and what the question is, of course, and sound off in the chat if you've got the answer to this, is it team... Is the team called Red Light, as in like the team known as Red Light, or is it Team Red Light? All three words in the Red Light.
Is this a trivia question? Is this some sort of a gotcha question?
No, this is sort of. I mean, I'm looking at. I've got the printout right here, Allan, and you would think that there would be some kind of a punctuation mark that kind of explains whether it's U.S.
So there's
Marine.
No wrong answer on this. I'm not going to.
Is it the U.S. Marine team known as Red Light, or is it U.S. Marine Team Red Light? So that's actually 5 words. I mean, U.S. being, of course, an acronym.
I think it's whichever one Robbie wants. So I think you could say it either way. You should say Team Red Light or Team Red Light.
I like saying team. I like it being the team known as Red Light.
The team known as Red Light.
So
you could say that. Sure, that's what I would go with.
All right, let's start from the top then. Okay, so on December 24th, that's Christmas Eve 2005. Sergeant Dennis Riley, member of the Special U.S. Marine Team known as Red Light, receives a distress call from Fort Stewart, a top-secret research facility in Antarctica. Of course, the subject of the centering of so many classical horror films and stories. Antarctica. This is the review that we're reviewing. We're reviewing Extermination for the PlayStation 2 live on EGI2 for the first time. This is EGI2 game review. EGI2 627 out of 10 game review 1. Extermination.
Did it start? Did you do it?
We're in the middle of it.
It's the underground filtration.
Have you said anything about how you like the game, or if it's a good
Well, we
game,
haven't gotten there yet because we have to explain. We've shown the intro. We've seen this sort of the trade show video. We've gotten a lot of information about the kind of vision behind the game. But now we have to get into what the game actually is, Allan.
And I'm waiting with bated breath. I'm up against the wall, waiting to hear what the game actually is. Even though, of course, I know because I have played it.
So if everybody could push your hands against their computer screens and imagine that you're pushing Allan against the wall, and you're telling him, you're relaying to him, you've gotten the information that you need, and now you need to get the information. Now you need to explain something to him, which is the plot for Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Go.
So is the chat?
No, everybody's getting
plot?
now, back against the wall, son. And I'm telling you, Allan, that the signal on December 24th, 2005, Sergeant Dennis Riley, member of the special U.S. Marine team known as Red Light, received a distress call from Fort Stewart, a top-secret research facility in Antarctica. The signal requests an immediate airstrike on the base, Allan. The team is sent to investigate the matter, but their plane crashes into the tundra.
Oh no.
Of course, tundra is kind of that soft, boggy, kind of spongy stuff.
Right.
At the bottom and top of the world. When Dennis arrives at the facility, he finds out that something horrible has occurred and must fight for his life. Allan, where are you going? You're up against the wall.
I'm just getting up against the wall. I'm getting further up against the wall.
So you can imagine that that there's many hands now, many hands pressing against you. The entire chat is with me, holding you up against the wall, and you are the vessel to which we express the plot for this classic survival horror game on the PlayStation 2.
And it does feel good to be pressed up by the whole chat.
So sound off in the chat if you're having a good press, and we will continue with the plot for the Extermination. Oh, wait. I think I skipped something. The team is sent to investigate the matter, but their plane crashes into the tundra. When Dennis arrives at the facility, he finds out... And Allan, where are you? Don't shift around. You're squirming too much. You're making everybody nervous. You're up against the wall.
I'm still up against the wall.
When Dennis arrives at the facility, he finds out that something horrible has occurred and must fight for his life as he encounters mutated creatures and is in danger of getting infected himself. Extermination is a survival horror game. The player has limited ammunition for his firearms, and in many cases, it is advisable to run away from monsters as opposed to fighting them out. Right. Besides,
it does hurt to be pressed against the wall
but you can't imagine it hurts any more to be pressed up against the wall than it hurts to be pressed into the tundra by these mutations.
Yes, it doesn't hurt as much as that.
Besides the traditional health bar, Dennis also has an infection rate, which may gradually grow when attacked by monsters. Once his infection rate reaches 100%, he becomes very weak and would eventually mutate into a monster. Infection can be countered by applying MTS.
Please, can you guys put me down?
The player's character default weapon, a special purpose rifle, can be customized with enhancements such as zoom scope, flashlight grip, radar, and parts which convert it to other weapon types such as flamethrower, shotgun, rocket launcher. Dennis can also fight with a knife, and throughout the game, batteries must be collected and used for activating various machines and saving the game, Allan.
And I have some batteries right here to show off.
So you can imagine you're Sergeant Dennis Riley down there in the secret government it's a top secret research facility in Antarctica.
There seems to be some connection between the water
And people look at I know that people are looking at
we'll have to investigate.
Extermination on the PlayStation 2 and thinking one thing, Allan, which is that who are the people that made this game? What were they thinking, and what did they go on to do before and after Extermination?
I was wondering that as well, and just a quick programming note: I'm no longer up against the wall. The chat has put me down.
Yes, you're down against it. You're down from the wall. And now you're back on the street. And I need what we need from you most of all is that especially that sharp and pointed extermination analysis and muckraking that you are so well known for on EGI, twitch.tv/EGI_2.
So what is the question?
The question is,
but it seems like they're not having an easy time.
First of all, no one else is reviewing it now. And I think that's the most important thing that it can be said about Extermination on the PlayStation 2 at this moment in time.
Look at that.
We do like that, and we see that Alan, that
Farrell and I are
when
heading
we
over
are
to
willing
Alpha.
to take the we're willing to sort of take on the vested interests in the games industry and review only the 6 to 7 out of 10 games, the games that may not be the greatest games of all time.
This building.
Alan?
Sorry about that.
We'll go on ahead. Come as soon as
Sorry
you're
about that. I was just getting the sexual cat candle holder to do a little quick update. We are 99 followers away from reaching our goal.
So congratulations to EGI2 for being 99 followers away from reaching the 1,000 followers. If we can, if people want to, if you can stand outwardly, if you can stand the extermination tags throughout the Twitch sort of universe, and then they can, and then we could be, and then people who are standing extermination on the PlayStation 2 can find their way back to EGI, twitch.tv/EGI2, and they will find that we do have these sexual candle holders. That we do need to, that folks, we do need to get rid of these sexual candle holders.
So only 99 more people need to follow, and then one of you will get the sexual candle holder, and Robbie will be happy.
So, Alan, if you can take a look at the footage that we are seeing live here on EGI2 of Extermination on the PlayStation 2.
It looks quite good.
It looks good. It looks good. It's one of those games that has you kind of stonking, or is it walking around and storking. It has you opening and closing things. It has you picking up notes, reading them out loud, saying to yourself, "What happened here, Alan? What did happen?"
I'm not quite sure what has happened. Oh, it looks like something is happening.
Something is happening, Alan. We are you can see that the infection rate is going down. So he must have found when he was in when he went into that tube that they had some sort of an MTS vaccine. And you remember the MTS vaccine from, of course, the plot summary.
Yes, of course. And a quick programming note to the EGI family: I'm not vaccinated. I am quite sick. I thought I was vaccinated, but the vaccine that my roommate, not my roommate, but my neighbor Mark was giving me actually just turned out to be some sort of a juice that he was making. But he was injecting me with the juice, and it made me feel good, but it didn't stop me from getting sick. I've been sick for quite a while.
And thank you, Grimm's Awakening has just subscribed for 3 months. Congratulations to Grimm's Awakening, because you have now gotten a premium level of access. Well, you still have the same access that everybody who hasn't subscribed gets, but you still get to support a great deal of truth telling, of 6 to 7 out of 10 stamping, score stamping.
Score stamping.
So you get emo. You get special emotes. Thank James Trevor's in the chat. Welcome, James.
Spam the chat with
James,
those
of course, produces the show when we are doing the numbered streams. And again, EGI Stream 6 will be next Monday, but this is not Stream 6. This is, in fact, its own separate thing, because I don't get to talk, I don't think, enough about games like Extermination on the PlayStation 2, and that is why we are doing this here tonight.
And just a quick shout out for James Trevor for making things run so smoothly, in contrast to when Robbie does the streams, these solo weird streams. They don't work. The audio is always messed up, and I can't hear Robbie sometimes.
And Alan, but back to you, Alan. And the thing that CGI2 watcher has asked if we've talked about the infection rate yet, and we have not. No, CGI2. CGI2
okay.
and the CGI2 watcher is in the chat asking, has Robbie talked about the infection rate in addition to the usual health bar yet? And we haven't, Alan. We have not talked about. We've heard about it when we did the trade, when we had the trade show video playing. You probably heard a little bit about that. And I did mention that
yes.
Once Dennis Riley's infection rate reaches 100%, he becomes very weak and eventually mutates into a monster. And you don't play as the monster, Alan. It's not one of those games where you get to kind of access a sort of a feral version of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you become the monster, you're just the monster, and the game more or less comes to an unceremonious end for you.
It's a fun game. It's a wonderful game. I'm excited to hear your review of the game. And this is all you're doing for how many hours are you going to be reviewing this game?
We're going to take as long as we need, Alan, to make sure that we get the score that it gets the score that it deserves from the discussion that we're from the not just discuss. It's not just a discussion. It's a
Let's go.
what is it when one person talks to a bunch of people?
What is it when one person talks to a Twitch stream? I think what are you talking about?
It's like a sermon or
a sermon,
a
a
lecture,
speech,
a speech.
a lecture?
No, it's
there's a lot of different words for that.
Who are you?
Sonia Leone, systems engineer.
Do you know anything about the detonator system?
Seminar?
Yeah, a little.
A seminar?
Is this
Detonators are spread out in the research area.
It's a game review, Alan, and this is a game review of a classic PlayStation 2 extermination game, a survival horror game called Extermination. And we will be giving it a review score at the end of this show, and I think that people will be, once we get to that point, that people will feel as if they have, I'm reviewing Extermination is what I'm trying to say, Alan.
Together.
I always knew that you were reviewing Extermination. It was never in doubt. That was made explicit to me as soon as I started watching this particular EGI2 stream. And I'm quite curious to hear your review. I reviewed it quite swiftly and effectively. I quickly was pushed up against the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
And gave it a what did I say? I say 6.5.
6.5 out of 10, and I mean it's a solid choice. It's somewhere. It is between 6 and 7, but again, you were pressed up against the wall. You weren't given the full story, and we are going to get to that full story. Full story?
Full story.
No, it's a story. When a story ends with. I'm going to type this in the chat just so we do have a record of it, because I do think that we've just stumbled on a new terminology that
But special code input can be done from here as well.
Okay. Let's synchronize our signals
when
to
a
this
story ends in a score, it is a
The key to the snowmobile in the parking lot.
scory.
There's a lot of useful
Scory.
stuff in the back of it.
Okay.
I'm just waiting. I want to see what people say about that.
Okay, I'll just wait.
No, it's scory. I think it
more from there. That's where most of the
because scory with a Y sounds too much like scary, and it's not scary. It's just scory.
It's not scary. It's story. Scory. Sorry.
All right, so let's. How about we get when we come back for our next numbered stream, or we have
I know what you're going.
or we have another game review, Alan. I think what we should do is we should have a specific a new badge or a new emote for scory.
Okay.
What do you mean? As long
Great.
as you're trying.
That sounds quite good.
Back to you, Alan, and let's continue on with the EGI2's 627 out of 10 game review 1 Extermination by going. Let's open up the phones and lines and see what people are saying about this fantastic and underrated game. And when I say underrated, I mean that it's been more that it's.
What do you mean?
Dennis.
Hold on. And when I see sex, when I say sex.
You said sex.
Hello, you're on the air with EGI underscore 2 627 out of 10 game review 1. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
This is Alex from
Robbie said sex.
California.
Alex
Hi.
From California. I didn't say sex. I said 6.
That's not what I heard. They're
Can
sounding
people
off in the
can
chat.
people hear
The
Alex?
word sex, big
can,
sex.
Alan, can you hear Alex from California?
I can't hear anything. I can hear Robbie, and it sounds like he's just talking about sex.
No, I'm calling about 627 out of 10. Chat, can we hear? Sound off in the chat if you can hear Alex from California, because if we can't hear
Alan
Alex
from California,
Alex,
that's me.
Alex from California.
You're talking about me. You're talking about me having sex.
No, I'm talking about Alex from California calling in to talk about Extermination on the PlayStation 2 tonight live on EGI underscore 2.
I can't hear Alex. I hear Alan, and I hear Robbie, and
Hello.
I.
So people are saying. I'm not talking. people are saying that the caller is a little bit quiet, so I'm going to try something a little bit out of the ordinary here. Caller, go ahead and say check, 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 check.
Check. Hello.
Keep going. Keep going, son. You're going to be all right. We're all going to be fine. We just got to check these, make sure these levels are correct, and that also that Allan can. Okay, so we can all hear Alex from California. Allan, hello. Since you can't hear Alex, is that I'll just tell you what Alex is saying.
Sounds good. I'm not going to hear him, but I'll hear what you say.
But I'll tell you what he's saying, and you can trust me, Allan.
Okay, and you should put me on screen because I look quite interesting.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Okay, Alex from California. What's your thoughts on the game Extermination for the PlayStation 2?
Yeah, I kind of have mixed thoughts about it. Like, personally, I think it's below a 6 for me, but like, well, it was kind of like the first survival horror game on the PS2. So, but like, this makes me wonder though, if I don't like the game, like, do I like that style of survival horror at all? It gets me a little existential.
Wait, when you say
horror.
That type of survival horror game, what exactly are you talking about, Alex from California? First of all, Allan, Alex from California is saying that perhaps Extermination may get less than a 6 to 7 out of 10 score from EGI on twitch.tv/EGI_2.
I mean, I can't hear Alex, but my understanding is that's not quite possible given the scale. I think Extinction is going to probably get somewhere between 6 and 7. Maybe a firm 6 or a firm 7 or somewhere in between. Back to you, Alex. What
are your thoughts on that? Were you able to hear Allan and respond to what Allan is saying?
I have to like hear him through the. I have to through him through the show.
So what Allan is saying that he think Alex believes that because of the nature of the show that it would be impossible for Extermination to receive anything less than a 6 out of 10.
Well,
that's right.
I'm gonna have to prove you wrong on that. At least this is personally me. Like, if you want to give it the 6 or the 7 out of 10. I'm glad. You
can see like a battery-powered door that they're. So this is why you have to run around with the batteries in your pockets.
Because the other thing is, this is actually like one of the first games that Gochi Suda Sweary worked on, and you can actually see his name and the number 65 if you go on the.
Are you talking about?
You're
talking about the lineage of what people went on to do after Extermination for the PlayStation 2 came out and made its mark. However insignificant it was at the time, there was a ripple effect. You're saying almost like a butterfly effect of all of the folks after the. I think it was called.
Hey, Robbie, I have to interrupt.
Access games, Allan.
Robbie, I have to interrupt. I have to do a potty. I have to do number 2 potty. So I'm just gonna go poop. So I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Bye, Robbie. I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay, so Allan will be returning once he does something on his own that's private, and he will be returning to us, Allan.
That's fair. He should take.
Once I get it out, once I get the food fully out of the bottom of me, I'll try to come back. If you're still reviewing, I don't know how long you're going to be reviewing for, but it does take me quite a while to get it out. Okay, back to you, Robbie.
Okay, just keep it to yourself, Alex. That's a fantastic review of your sort of thought of what game were we talking about?
Extermination
on the PlayStation.
I guess if I were to give it a score, I guess I would have to give it just to be a little more fair, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Like
5 out of 10.
That's just me personally.
A solid underline under the 5. But you were as we were saying, some of the people that did work on Extermination went on to work on such games as the Deadly Premonition series, D4, and
Spy Fiction.
And Spy Fiction, of course. And everyone, of course, can recall that wonderful game, Spy Fiction, that allowed you to tell the story of the spy that wasn't true because it was fiction.
Indeed.
So, Alex, thank you for your call. We're going to go ahead and continue on with our with our goal, I think it is a goal to explain as much as we can about Extermination on the PlayStation 2 before we give it our EGI 2 score that it deserves. Alex from California had Alex. We just hung up on Alex from California. That's fine. Let's go back to the phones. We do have the phone lines are still open, so please call in if you want to talk about EGI underscore. If you want to talk about PlayStation 2 survival horror games, especially Extermination, then this is the time to do it, folks, because there's not going to be another. We're not going to keep reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2 over and over and over again. I can tell you that. Hello, caller. You're on the air with EGI underscore 2. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Dee. I'm from Vancouver, Canada.
Dee from Vancouver, Canada. The great
You got the metal plate?
classic American city, Vancouver, and you are, of course, and you're stuck in some kind of a weather situation up there right now, aren't you?
I'm stuck in my bedroom trying to learn more about Extermination for the PlayStation 2.
We're all scrambling to learn as much as we can about Extermination 2 before the official score is released. And are you finding that you're getting the information that you need? Are you willing to share any information that you may have found out in your own research on your own time when you realized that we would be reviewing Extermination live on EGI? The game review show that we're doing right now.
I think it's really important to say that I agree with the 6.5 out of 10, but we haven't talked enough about the infection rate, and I really just need to see more. You know, I want to learn more about extermination. Oh God.
Okay. Well, the end of the fact of the matter is, D from Vancouver, is that it's if the wonderful people down there at U.S. Marine team known as Red Light were to fail in their mission to get to an immediate air out in the base, Fort Stewart. If Fort Stewart is lost to us, I think we can all assume, D, that the virus that mutates all of us all of us being Dennis Riley, collectively us playing copies of Extermination games as Dennis Riley.
Should still be on the roof.
If that gets out, then we're toast.
Yeah. Well, if you find out anything, call me.
Thank you for your call, D. I hope that we didn't lose you because you were lost to the Extermination Extinction event. Just if you're joining us for the first time this evening, that we are reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2 live here on twitch.tv/EGI_2. Hello, you're on the air with EGI_2 game 6 to 7 out of 10 game review 1. Extermination. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, yes, this is calling in once again, Jan Redden from upstate New York. I was just building some furniture for my apartment. Well, a lamp right now, really. And I'm tuning in a little late, so I was hoping you could catch me up. The last things I heard about was Allan had to go do a poopy fart, and you said something like something sexy, like penis or something.
No, if you heard me say anything that sounded like it could be one of the slick words, one of the slime words that the slime balls use, it may have actually been you hearing that I said the word 6 because we've been using 6 to 7 out of 10 as a kind of a rubric for our review of Extermination.
I'm so sorry. That's so embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
You're up in upstate New York, so you're probably getting hit by the weather that's kind of like whacking and slapping everyone back and forth all across the North American continent. But I want to ask you...
The snow came through pretty heavy, but it did pass through. Now we've got really heavy wind. So it must have been the windy wind that comes down through the mountains and trees of upstate New York.
And you can imagine the same mountains and trees, and those are, well, they don't exist in Antarctica because it's all tundra, but you can imagine that similar winds and wintry weathers that affect that particular part of the country are only tripled or quadrupled when it gets to Antarctica.
Oh, very interesting. Is that where this game Extinction is?
Extinction takes place again. Yes. So extermination, not extinction, does take place in Fort Stewart, Antarctica. A top-secret research facility in the offset. So I'll give you a quick recap of the story so far. On December 24th, 2005, Sergeant Dennis Riley, member of the Special U.S. Marine team known as Red Light, receives a distress call from Fort Stewart, a top-secret research facility in Antarctica. The signal requests an immediate airstrike on the base. They want to blow it sky high. Nothing survives when the bombs drop on the extermination on the fort. The team is sent in.
That sounds really interesting.
The team is sent in to investigate.
That sounds really interesting. Sergeant Riley is going to need. Sergeant Wrigley is going to need all of his strength and determination to save Fort Stewart with his team Red Line.
Team Red Light. The team known as Red Light. Not Team Red Light, but team known as Red Light. But their plane crashes into the tunnel.
People generally know it as Red Light.
Yes. Not the full... When Dennis arrives at the facility, he finds out that something horrible has occurred and must fight for his life as he encounters mutated creatures and is endangered of getting infected himself. And so the thing that we are forgetting that Dennis does, in fact, need the most is that MTS vaccine. Every time he gets a bit of a dinky bit of a stinky poke in the arm by one of these mutated creatures, arm, leg, neck, what have you. If you're Dennis Riley, then you're gonna need a lot of vaccine because you don't want to turn into one of these folks. Because if we know as the protagonist of the game that if you're lost, there aren't other playable characters, and therefore if you're lost, the base is lost, and the extermination event continues on into the rest of the global south.
A stinky, slimy poke from a nasty stick or rod.
We're talking about a nasty little poke, a nasty little the P word, and we and if you get it and you got it, then you got to get the vaccine. You got to get the MTS vaccine, and that's MTS.
You got to get the vaccine, and this is actually a really good lesson for today's youth. You got to get the vaccine and protect yourself.
Because you never know when these mutations are going to be whacking you and slapping you around, just like the weather up north is whacking and slapping everyone from Vancouver to upstate New York.
You never know. Wind and or bodies and slimy, nasty things could really bounce into you at any moment.
Let's check in what people are saying on the chat about this fantastic 6 to 7 out of 10 game. If people are getting the information they need, if they're worried about getting the nasty poke, if they're sick and tired of all the whacking and slapping.
Well, 12-ounce Fit says when the infection rate reaches 100%, Dennis becomes completely infected by the virus, and his maximum health is not only reduced to 60%, but also constantly depletes. That sounds awful.
And you can imagine that at the end, once his health is fully depleted, then the actual transformation into the beast life begins.
End of play.
End of story. End of extermination. End of Dennis. End of Team Red Light. Of the team known as Red Light.
End of story. And that's the end of Sergeant Wrigley. That's the end of Fort Stewart, and that's the red line right there. So he crosses that red line. He's not coming back.
If you can see the name up here, this is Tokura Fujiwara, one of the people that went on to work on Extermination on the PlayStation 2, had a long and storied career before and after Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Thank you for your call. Let's continue on with our exploration of this fantastic PlayStation 2 survival horror classic, a game that I think that after tonight most people will have on their lips in the same way that the people who may have been at the speech given by the man in England who went on to found the Republic, the man who went on to say to Joe Botnick, you'll appreciate this when I talk about the thing that the man in England said he was going to do, and then we got Magna Carta. Hello, you're on the air with EGI. Hello, you're on the air with EGI_2. Back to you, caller. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Robbie. This is Adam from Chicago.
Adam from Chicago, the Windy City, the classic American city, getting battered, whacked back and forth by that weather, that winter storm that's just hitting us all in as many ways as it can possibly do. It's like one of those tentacle animals.
Yeah, and its tentacle is going to be making it real cold out here next week. Yep.
So, what are you thinking about? What are your thoughts about PlayStation 2's classic survival horror game, Extermination? The game from the developer that was actually, and this is true. This just in, no one else is reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2. If you find someone else reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2, I promise you that they are not bringing you the reviews and information that you need about it. Sponsored by none other than Frame Grind on the Sega Dreamcast and mini gaming desktops that cost around $800. So, caller, what are your thoughts about PlayStation? About Dennis Riley's struggle to stave off infection while also cleansing the Earth of the creature virus that has tormented him and the rest of his team from the get-go.
I was doing my own research on Extermination for the PS2, and I saw on Wikipedia that it has totally different voice casts and maybe even a different main character for the European version. So I took to IMDb to look at the voice cast, and I can't find anything about the European version. Oh, I gotta go.
Oh, thank you for calling from Chicago. We had we've had a bit of an issue there getting the information that we needed about the NTSC versus PAL version of Exterminator, but we do have breaking news. This just in. Breaking news. Okay, we don't have the breaking news button on this particular configuration, but we do have breaking news because no one else. I'm reviewing Extermination. No one else is reviewing Extermination on PlayStation 2, twitch.tv/PlayStation 2. But this just in, Extermination was initially developed as a Sega Dreamcast game in 1998. The company that Deep Space that wanted to that brought the game to the attention of the world at first pitched the game as a sequel to none other than, you guessed it, Deep Fear. Not Cold Fear, Deep Fear. Deep Fear, of course, was the classic Sega Saturn survival horror game that knew how to bring you the kind of survival horror that could only be survived if you were survival horror that could only be survived if you were in the underwater in Deep Fear, right? So, callers, please call in and let us know what you think of the breaking news. We've just had this breaking news. No one else is talking about this. No one else is reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2 live on twitch.tv/EGI_2. Let's go to the chat while we're waiting for calls and see what people are saying about this classic PlayStation 2 game. Future Simmons says this is going places. You're right, this is going places. It's going but it's everything's going to go straight to hell if the infection rate ever gets to 100%. And So that's why it's always good to keep your Rattlemanes in the chat. How are you doing in the chat? Mad Violence saying, "Don't go, Joe." Joe's got to go to sleep. But Joe, if you could just go ahead and leave. I think if you were to go ahead and leave your Twitch stream on, you would see this absolutely, I think, meditative sort of duct crawling that you won't be able to see anywhere else on tonight. And so that is why we are bringing this, because no one else is willing to review a game of this, of a game with this kind of pedigree. So people are always asking me, what does the controls do in Extermination on the PlayStation 2? And that is just why we are bringing you here live for the very first time on twitch.tv/EGI_2. It's the controls for because you can't understand a game, you can't tell what the game is, you can't feel a game out and be willing. You can't appreciate and review a game unless you've played it, and you can't play the game unless you know what the controls is. So if everybody's willing to take out their pads and pencils and pens, then we are going to be revealing tonight for the very first time the controls for this Extermination on the PlayStation 2. So if the controls are as follows: up, down, left, right. Moves the character, moves the gun sight, and moves the menu cursor. So you can imagine there's so many different elements to this game. There's so many different types of gameplay that you can experience when you're playing.
Check it out.
Extermination on the PlayStation 2, that you need to not only move your character, but you also need to aim, and also when you're selecting different things in different menus, whether it's your options or your more diegetic menus. So that would be your sort of inventory screens, your if you need to add-ins, if you need to heal yourself, or if you need to combine items or customize that weapon of yours. We will be. Diegetic is the name of the game, and so the up, down, left, right buttons move those menu cursors. So X is the next button. This breaking news, this just in, X is the cross button, is also the action button that we use to confirm our selections when we are navigating those menus that you see up here on the screen. Just for a moment before we got back into the gameplay footage. Square button, breaking news, the square button is the strong knife attack and use secondary weapon attachment. So of course we know from that amazing summation of the Extermination plot that the Extermination plot that the character's default weapon, a special purpose rifle, can be customized with enhancements such as zoom scope, flashlight grip, radar, and parts, which converted to other weapon types such as flamethrower, shotgun, rocket launcher. Dennis can also fight with a knife, and throughout the game, batteries must be collected and used for activating various machines and saving the game. So you can imagine the batteries are accessed through what have you, a menu, and therefore an X button to select the battery or to select the weapon type. You would imagine that you have to confirm your selection, because you don't just keep hitting the up and down buttons and then you get what you want. You got to confirm what you want, and you can't confirm anything without the X button, at least when it comes to Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Hello, caller, you're on the air with EGI_2 reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Please be as precise as you possibly can be when it comes to revealing your feelings about these controls that we are revealing live here on twitch.tv/EGI_2. Okay, caller, sorry, seems like we may have lost the call, so we're going to be going back to the chat and seeing what people think of what people think of the controls so far. So if you love the controls, you're back on. Okay, we got there. Our caller is back. Caller, you're on the air with your attachment. Caller, you're on the air with twitch.tv/EGI_2. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Adam from Chicago again. I had to go because my mom was calling me because she was worried about the weather. But I'm back.
Unbelievable. So, tell us what you think about the controls so far, because we've gotten through the directional buttons and the X or cross button on the PlayStation 2 controller, and what these things
I like
do.
the idea that the game knows what I want.
So exactly. So when you're talking about what you want, you're talking about a confirmation of what you want, which is what you need the cross for.
It's always nice when, especially on one of these old Japanese games, the X button is confirmed, because a lot of times it's backwards on those old Japanese games.
And you can't have exactly. So you can't have. What can't you have?
You can't have uncertainty about what you're doing in your controls. And
exactly.
The game knowing what I want to do.
Which is another way of saying
so
confirmation. I like that. Caller, Scott from Chicago, what do you think? I'm going to go ahead and keep you on the air right now so I can get as much live response to the next three buttons on the extermination.
Wow.
On the extermination control, is it a is it control?
Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Chicago. So the square button is, of course, your sweeping attack, your knife attack. And it allows you to use your secondary weapon attachment. The triangle button displays your in-game menu. It returns you to the game from the menu. So if you can press the button once, you can press it a second time and get right back into the action after you've used the up and down and left and right keys to get what you need out of the menus that you can access again with what?
Whoa! Hey, come on, it's me, Travis!
With the triangle
button.
The
circle button is, of course, your quick knife attack, your primary weapon attack, and your ability, and this is what we were talking about a second ago, your ability to return from a previous menu to the menu that you would like.
Very precious information.
The unconfirmed, say back.
Hey, put it down.
Travis, people are saying it's Travis. Who's Travis?
Yeah, what'd you find out?
Travis is here?
Army boy. I'll let you in on an
breaking news. Travis is here
before it even hits the papers. You'll love it.
I'm a
Scott, do you know who's Travis?
Mix us up with the army.
Travis is here.
I don't know Travis.
Hi, Travis. Welcome to EGI_2. Apparently, breaking news. Travis is in the chat, and he's we're so happy to get a new viewer. What?
I'm getting out of here while I still can.
Cast up. Travis is
I
played
don't
by
really
Doug Boyd. He was in Nash Bridges. He was in Bioshock 2.
See you around.
Okay, I mean, but how does that? We're talking about the controls.
Yeah, you're right.
So again, going down the list of the controls here, we got the L1 button, and remember, we are talking about the PlayStation 2 controller. So we do have gotten to the point where we do have, well, I guess the first PlayStation DualShock controller had the shoulder and the trigger buttons, but the L1 button, which is the button on the.
Did you click sticks?
What?
L3, R3, were those there yet?
If I can tell you right now that there was a L3.
Oh.
So I assume maybe they just had the one. Maybe they just had the one click. So your L1 button, which is the button that you get with your pointer finger on the left-hand side, that goes to center camera behind main character, because you know these earlier 3D games, especially ones that were kind of still trying to figure out the balance between freedom of camera movement and cinematic quality, that a lot of times the camera would get stuck things. So it's nice to have that L1 button for centering the camera, also for using the zoom scope when the zoom scope is attached. And the L2 button is the button that actually gets you the zoom scope to attach to the gun, and then the L3 button is the button that you use to reload your primary weapon.
Oh. Good L3.
So thank you for your call from Chicago. I'm glad that your mother is feeling safe about the weather. The weather is not the worst thing that the worst it's been, but it's still a nasty evening out there. So protect yourself, protect your loved ones, and remember to keep the fire in your heart, and to pass it to everyone, to be a good person. And there's the one thing that we always say on EGI2 is
it has a lot of heart.
There's too many bad people, and there's never enough good people. So be a good person and go forth out into the world, Travis, from Chicago.
Back to you, Robbie.
Back to you, Travis. Thank you for your call. If you're just joining us for the first time this evening, no one else is reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2 except for EGI 2. So welcome to the show. If you're just joining us, if you want to say hi to Travis, Travis is here in the chat on the phone and in many different forms, and we're so happy to have Travis here for us tonight as we go down through the reviews, and these are the actual printed out reviews of Extermination on the PlayStation 2 that came out at the time. So if you're excited, so sound off in the chat if you're excited about hearing reviews from other games reviewing outfits back in the day when the PlayStation 2, when this came out originally on the PlayStation 2. We do love Travis, but please sound off in the chat if you also maybe Travis also likes game reviews that have been printed out from the GameSpot and the IGN archives. So we're excited about this. We're excited. We're happy to see that Travis is here with us and is keeping the community alive and with all of the support. I assume that he's got a separate, maybe a Discord chat going on, but we're here tonight celebrating not Travis, but EGI, but the other one. So this is of course the GameSpot review score, the GameSpot review with a score attached to it of Extermination on the PlayStation 2, and we're going to dive right into that right now. It is fitting that the first true survival horror game, it is. See, because you can see that I'm doing it. It's the first true survival horror game for the PlayStation 2 that was developed by a team made up of some of the original creators of Resident Evil, and of course, Deep Fear, and make no mistake, Extermination is no Resident Evil, but as the title might suggest, it at least offers a slight bit more in the way of action. And if you're looking at this in a sort of historical context, then you do know that these survival horror games became more and more action focused as the years as years went on. So you can see that this was a not necessarily a mistake on the part of the creators of Extermination on the PlayStation 2, but also a herald of what would be to come when it came to the balance between action and survival in survival horror. So sound off in the chat if Travis has anything that he would like to say. The call lines are open, so if you're listening and you want to, we'd love to hear more from Travis about what his thoughts about this GameSpot review are of Extermination on the PlayStation 2. In a story reminiscent of John Carpenter's The Thing and Halico's Carrier and Capcom's Resident Evil, you act as Dennis Riley, a member. We already went through all this thing about Dennis Riley. Not only the creatures violent and dangerous, the creatures at, of course, Fort Stewart, but their virus is contagious, and if you're bitten by one of them, you have to quickly find a cure before tentacles and bioorganic weapons start sprouting from your back. And if you've ever had the tentacles bioweapons sprout from your back, you know that it's not a kind thing. It's not a great kindness that the tentacles have put on you, and so it's important that you get to the MTS vaccine as quickly as possible to get those tentacles back into your back. Extermination's gameplay is much like that of Resident Evil in theme, but there are a number of key differences, and some are improvements, while others are not. The game controls are much similar to those of Silent Hill and Onimusha, meaning that you can move your character in a certain direction without having to swivel him around first. Now that's an odd way of saying those old tank controls from it's not quite tank. Sort of a what's it? Swivel a certain direction without having to swivel him around. So this is we're actually talking about more free movement than the tank controls of the old Resident Evil games. So similar to a break from the norm, codename Veronica, and that was the game that when I look at Extermination, I do see a very significant similarity to that Resident Evil codename Veronica on the Dreamcast, which of course was later ported to the PlayStation 2, and you can imagine that was ported to the PlayStation 2 possibly as a result of it being the popularity of Extermination. Mossy Lump wants to know if you play as Veronica in Codename Veronica. You do not play as Codename Veronica. You do not play as Veronica in Codename Veronica. But thank you for your the question, Quinny. Hello, you're on the air with EGI2. What's going on? Who are you? Where are you calling from? Hello.
You there?
Yeah, we're here. Travis.
I'm Gio.
Travis, welcome to the show. We're so excited to hear what you thought of the first couple paragraphs of that GameSpot review for PlayStation for Extermination.
I'm not Travis, sadly. I think Travis may be a fictional character. I'm loving the review.
People are talking about Travis in the chat, so we know that he's
Travis
here.
Might be. I think he might be in the game.
No, his name is Dennis Riley. Dennis Riley, of course, the hero of the story. The whether or not I can't remember if he was the leader when the story began, but he became the leader simply because he is the one that the player, the godlike control is of in this game.
So is he like the commander, or is he the guy on the screen running around?
He's potentially both. I mean, we haven't gotten that deep into the plot line, but we do have a great deal of printouts about this game that we have to get through before we give it the score that it deserves.
Yeah, I love that you got the original material here. You're looking at the game as it was.
As it is, as not only as it was, as what do they say about the past is prologue? Is that what they say? Okay, so what are your thoughts?
They could say that.
What are your thoughts about these? Does it sound like when I read the part about the game's controls are more similar to those of Silent Hill and Onimusha, meaning that you can move your character in a certain direction without having to swivel him around for it. That's the opposite of the tank controls, correct?
Yeah, that's because the PS2 has the two sticks, right?
Well, yeah, but you don't. Well, it doesn't say that you use the second stick. It just seems like you. But it's confusing to me.
Sonia.
So you got one stick for the character and one stick for the camera. The PS1, I don't think had any sticks.
But I don't think.
So you had sticks.
Well, let's go back to the controls because I'm looking at the controls right now, and I don't see that we have a separate stick for the camera.
Well, maybe is it like third person? Is it like follow?
Oh, it's a third person game for sure. I mean, that you can see that when you press except for when it's first person, when you hit, of course, the L2 button to get the zoom scope in.
Cindy, what's going on?
Yeah, it seems like kind of a Lakitu thing going on where it just floats behind you and. Well, no, it did reposition there in the video, so maybe.
Or Devil May Cry.
It does use that second stick.
It's confusing to
or
me
maybe
because
it uses the trigger.
The trigger.
The trigger.
Well, the trigger snaps the camera back to the back of you, but not necessarily to the not allowing you to do a free camera movement.
So it's like semi.
Like Devil May Cry, or they used Onimusha, which threw me off because I was because it threw me off because I was most recently played Onimusha on my Nintendo Switch because it was re-released, and you could see that on the spreadsheet.
I got it out.
This is kind of. I usually
breaking
play,
news: Allan Resnick is back from his
potty.
From the things that doing the thing that he needed. First time chatter. Caspar Brander says the first game that had proper stick control for the camera was Super Mario Sunshine. I probably want to take a better look at that statement before I would say that is the correct statement. But Allan, if you're just returning, there's apparently there's maybe two people named Travis talking to us now in the chat on the phone about Extermination on the PlayStation 2.
That's exciting.
So caller, Allan can't hear you, so you can ask me, or if you have a question for Allan about Extermination, you can ask me and I will ask Allan.
Yeah, I can't hear Allan. Can you tell Allan hi for me?
Allan, Travis says hi.
Hi, Travis. It's so good to hear you. Back to you, Travis.
I think a while back, Allan did a special report on buttons. And the PS2 is one of those controllers that has like secret buttons where you can push in on the controllers, and that's a button. And there's two buttons on the back instead of just one.
Travis is saying
so there's a lot of buttons to go through.
There's a bunch of secret buttons on the PlayStation DualShock 2 controller that haven't been discovered yet.
Oh wow!
So that's pretty entertaining. Thank you for that. And we also, Allan, while you were gone, began to read as we've dived deeper and deeper into this well of video game history that is Extermination on the PlayStation 2. We have begun to read other previous publications. Not that we consider EGI 2 to be a publication, but previous.
What is EGI?
EGI 2 is a well. First and foremost, it's a place where creativity is king.
Okay. EGI 2 is a platform.
EGI 2 is a platform. Thank you, Travis. EGI 2. Travis said that EGI 2 is a platform on which we express our deepest feelings of.
Robbie.
It's where we review survival horror games like Extermination on the PlayStation 2.
Well, you can do anything on the platform.
And you can do anything with the platform that you want, Allan. I think that's the lesson. That's the lesson of PlayStation of any platform, including the PlayStation 2, which is why it was such when Extermination hit the PlayStation 2 in 2001. I
thought it took place in 2005.
2005. Well, December 24th, 2005 is when Dennis Riley, member of the special U.S. Marine team known as Red Light, received that
Robbie?
distress call from Fort Stewart, the top secret military facility in Antarctica, research facility in Antarctica, that demanded that there be an immediate airstrike on the base. But they didn't do it, Allan. They decided to go in and see what had happened that caused that distress signal, with that distressing request to be sent out.
Did you review the game?
We're reviewing the game we are in the middle of reviewing the game, Allan.
Can you let me know when you've done it?
Caller, do we still have the caller on the air?
Yep. I'm looking at the water filtration plant. I love it when games have a water filtration plant.
We do love Allan. Caller Travis is looking at the water filtration plant right now, and we're reminiscing as a community here on EGI2 at the use of water filtration plants in survival horror games.
And it has sections. It has many sections.
Okay, no comment from me on that.
Well, because of course you remember the old probably I would imagine that might be that Resident Evil did have the first water filtration level, although you don't break it up into levels obviously, but the level the water in the big cistern at the center of the facility, Allan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got in it, and then you had those giant sharks swimming around. Those sharks that had been infected with the T virus.
I imagine there's plenty of other games that have water filtration systems featured in the game, but
you're
the game expert.
But water filtration center. What I'm trying to say to you, Alan and Travis, is that water filtration centers are especially there's something especially poignant about using a water filtration system as a plot device in survival horror games.
Because
a lot of times infection is at the center of these things, and how did infection spread, especially in the sort of the pre Enlightenment times, the medieval times, your Baroque, your Flemish Renaissance era.
The water?
Yes, through the water. So thank you for your call. We're going to go ahead and check in with Alan and his thoughts about this fantastic classic PlayStation 2 game review live here on EGI_2. Alan, how are you feeling? What are your thoughts so far? What are you seeing out there on the street? What are people saying about this, about extermination and the water filtration systems?
I'm not on the street. I'm in my room. People are but I would imagine if I were on the street, people would be saying things like they value the water filtration systems that we have. That clean water is essential for a modern society, and I've been enjoying the stream so far. I love when Robbie talks about these kind of games, these wonderful games, these forgotten gems of games that were not even that well received in their day, and have never quite received their due. So I think this is another big success. I'm happy. I got it out. I did eat. I haven't been eating any fruit or very little water, and mostly just chips, just heavy chips and heavy cream. But I did get it out, and it did hurt. So I'm just happy to be back here with you, and I'm glad I'm not being pressed up against the wall by the chat. Even though I did like imagining the hand of the chat forming one big Robbie hand and touching me. Back to you, Robbie.
If you can picture, the unfortunate truth of the matter is that the hand that could be touching you, if we didn't have these wonderful water filtration systems, could in fact be a hand that is infected with the virus that has infected everyone, that has infected the folks, the good people down at that Arctic research facility.
Absolutely, and I am afraid of infection. I said in the chat, I'm quite sick quite often. I thought I was double, triple, and quadruple vaccinated because my neighbor Mark had been giving me Mark shots. He'd call them. They were vaccines he made in his house. Every other day, he said I needed a little Mark booster, and I would go over and he would give me the boosters. This is at the height of the infection that we all were afraid of, and it turns out Mark got in a lot of trouble for this because it was just juice. But back then when I was getting the Mark shots, I was going number 2 quite often. It was easy to get it out, and since Mark moved to jail, I haven't been able to get it out as much as I used to. But I'm sick.
Well, thank you for that, Alan, and of course we can go on with that in mind as we continue on our exploration of the controls of extermination. And what I was saying in your absence, Alan, was that you can't to review a game, you must play the game, correct?
And I have played this game.
And to replay the game, you need to control the game, correct?
Yes.
So what better way to get to bring the people the review that they deserve than by telling them how to play it, what buttons do.
Okay.
So going back to if L1 again is to center the camera behind the main character or use the zoom scope. The L2 beneath the L1 button, because if you can, you get zoom. Okay, so L2 is to actually bring up the zoom scope, and L1 is to zoom with the zoom scope. Alan.
Okay.
So what do you think L3 does?
Shoots the gun.
It reloads because to shoot the gun, it is in fact
X.
O.
Oh, okay.
R1 is what you hold for third-person aiming, and R2 is what you hold for first-person aiming. So going back to the up, down, left, right, etc. That's how you move the gun sight around in those third and first-person aiming sections. For when you, I assume, when you can only imagine that you're aiming for the creature's weak spots.
Okay.
Select displays the option menu for if you need to adjust things like the brightness or sound levels. Start displays your in-game menu, which is of course your diegetic menu that allows you to access your inventory, maps, what have you.
I feel like I'm playing the game.
And you can imagine just hitting that start button, the select option button, and seeing that you can adjust things like you can turn the vibration of the DualShock off.
Standard controls for a PlayStation 2 game?
Right. So a solid showing from the controls for Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Let's hit the control. I'm gonna hit my options are right here, right in front of me, and I'm going to open up the phone call lines to see what people are saying about the controls of Extermination on the PlayStation 2. And if you're just joining us, this game review is brought to you by FrameGride and Mini Gaming PCs. Hello, hello, caller. You're on the air with EGI Caller, you're on the air with EGI_2. What are your thoughts about the controls for Extermination on the PlayStation 2?
Hey, it's me, Travis.
It's Travis. We've got.
I gotta go.
Travis.
I gotta go.
Oh. So Allan, I know you can't hear the phone calls, but Travis was here with us for a second and then immediately got off the phone.
That's too bad. I'm here with you, Robbie. You can pretend I'm calling you. I'll pretend to call you if you want. Ring, ring.
Okay, ring, ring. Hello, you're on the air with the EGI 2.
Hi, my name is Alex from Chicago. My name is Allan, from California.
Yeah, I knew a guy named Olivus.
That's interesting.
So maybe that could be you.
Olivus?
Yeah, Olivus.
Hey, Robbie. Okay, let's start over. Ring, ring.
Allan, we gotta take a break from you to call all of us. Caller, you're on the air with EGI_2. Who are you? Where are you calling from? And most importantly, what did you think of the controls for Extermination on the PlayStation 2?
This is Max.
All of us.
Allan, if you talk during the caller talking, then it's gonna be crosstalk. But you can't hear the caller, and the caller can't hear you. So I have to act as intermediary.
I thought I was calling you as all of this.
No, you're Olive. When we return to Allan, the character known as Olivus, as played by Allan Resnick on twitch.tv/EGI_2, I'll give you the signal.
Okay.
Great.
Sounds good.
Not to you, caller. I'm talking to Allan. You can't hear Allan, and Allan can't hear you.
Oh.
Gabriel Enferino is chatting in from Argentina. Wonderful. Wants to Gabriel Infierino. Lovely. I got it. Hello from Argentina.
Hello, Argentina.
So, caller, who are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm Max. I'm calling from Los Angeles. The controls seemed pretty easy to understand. You were talking a bit about them when you were reading out the reviews. Sounded like there was... Some people in the reviews liked the controls, some people did not like the controls.
Major.
Right.
What?
Well, it said in the GameSpot review, it said that the game controls are more similar to those of Silent Hill and Onimusha, meaning you can move your character in a certain direction without having to swivel first, with that being the tank controls. I think that we've been able to. First, Bentley Deuce is chatting in for the first time. We have a lot of first-time chatters this evening. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the review of Extermination on the PlayStation 2. We've gotten as deep as we can get, but I think we can plung a little deeper.
Did the studio that made Extermination, did they always use that kind of opposite of tank controls? in their games?
That's a great question, and I think the answer is no, because, well, I don't think that the studio... Well, if you go back to the thought that I had earlier, some of the people that, when the game was first pitched, it was pitched as a sequel to Deep Fear, which, of course, did have tank controls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I had such trouble with... I'm just not as good at that kind of dual-stick controls, so...
So you prefer the tank controls, is what you're saying?
No, I actually don't like tank controls. I prefer... What is the term for opposite of tank controls? Well, whatever it is that is the opposite of tank controls, I've never...
It says here the main goal of the game is attempt...
Main goal of the game is to...
Well, you can't walk through puddles of water.
Major.
No, but I mean, that was pretty common, wasn't it? Like,
right. Well, yeah, that's why you need to get the water filtration.
It's nothing, sir. The
Mhm.
underground detonators are
Because
fully
it-
loaded. Now all
because
that
it
remains
reduces
is the one
them.
in the power plant.
We tried to go straight in, but the infestation kept us from reaching the dead.
Alan, what are your thoughts about what the caller is asking? What is the opposite of
I
tank?
can't hear the caller.
Well, okay, Alan, what the caller is saying is tanks controls, opposite of tanks controls. What is it? What are people on the chat saying is the opposite of tanks controls?
It's boat controls. D33CH says it's boat
I'm just
controls.
waiting for Alan.
Boat control. Oh,
Tank
so
loss
Alan
of
says that
control.
it's that he thinks it's boat controls, but that doesn't sound quite right to me. Maybe it's more like
Looks bad in there. Like hell on earth.
I mean, I had a friend who referred to tank controls as like dual stick controls. But
well,
it's true that
but
there
the
are
dual stick. Okay, so tank controls is not quite dual stick controls in the same way, in the way that we think about it, because what you're doing with the tank controls is you're swiveling the character with one potentially with the either D-pad or a stick, and then using a separate stick and or D-pad to move forward and backwards, similar to what a tank would do. But when we talk about the dual stick control, what we really are talking about is one for 3D movement and one for camera control. Or, of course, in the context of a first-person shooter,
On the edge of a crevasse near there.
looking and strafing.
Okay. Yeah, and like I've, for whatever reason,
But this does, but the confusing, and I do what people I think were confused about then, as they are now, is that there is a way to point there is a first-person perspective, which you may access, Alan.
What's the button for it?
There's a button with L2.
On the main detonator.
Okay.
I know.
So, and
Why are you telling me this?
Like, so you press L2, takes you to first person,
Secure the route to the rooftop.
and it's just the same movement controls.
Correct.
Riley.
I see.
But when you're in first person, there's no movement. Still, we're still locked in place in the way that we pretty much were until after, in terms of survival horror games, until after. Let's say Resident Evil 5.
Really? I thought well, I think maybe it's just I'm trying to think of survival horror games by how the controls work. Because you said this was after Deep Fear, and they were referring to Biohazard, and I cannot remember what Biohazard's control scheme was like.
It's tank controls.
Okay, yeah. So.
Milksteak 53 says, I feel like my life uses tank controls.
Milksteak 53, explain exactly what you mean by that, and be as detailed as possible, because this is the time for it. Because when we get back into EGI Stream 6 on Monday evening, we're not going to have time to talk about in the granularity in which we are attacking this particular title. Is not going to exist in the same way, Alan.
Robbie?
I see.
Is the caller still on the phone?
The caller is still on the phone, yeah.
Can you tell them to hang up?
Okay, Caller, thank you for your call. Say hello to Travis for me, and we will continue. The calls, the lines are still open, by the way. So if people do need to express themselves about the tank or lack thereof the tank controls, now's the time. Now's the time to do it before we are past that point of Noi return.
Can we talk about other things?
Sure. What do you want to talk about, Alan? What's so important to you that you can't continue talking about EGI Twitch about Twitch?
I can talk about Twitch.
Oh, hello.
I just don't want to talk. I just don't know what you're talking about.
Alan, sorry, we have another phone caller on the air. Sorry, caller, take a second. Alan, take a second. Everybody, take a breath back. I am the middle child in this family, and caller, you are youngest child. Youngest child, speak first.
Yes, that's correct. And I was born the last of us, the last of the 6 of us children of the tank controls.
Alan, he's still talking. Alan, the caller is still talking.
Okay.
You know, when I'm walking around, in the day, I can only see from first person. But when I go to sleep, actually, that's when I can kind of zoom out of my head and actually watch myself from behind. It's not actual tank controls. I kind of follow myself around like there's a floating camera.
Alan, if you ever seen the classic movie, Elephant, I think it was.
Elephant?
Have you ever seen the
Gus Van Sant vehicle?
The school shooter movie Elephant?
Well, we're not getting into that aspect of it, but I think what the caller is describing is a dream that he's been having, similar to some of the shots that they explored in that particular movie.
I haven't seen that movie. I don't think we should be talking. I don't want to be demonetized talking about something.
It's hard to talk.
It's
hard. Well, the reason I bring up Elephant because it was released not long after Extermination on the PlayStation 2. And if you can imagine, caller and Alan, I'm talking to you both, that the relationship between the camera in Extermination on the PlayStation 2 and some of the scenes, especially in the beginning of the film, Elephant, Gus Van Sant's Elephant. There might be a relationship there worth exploring.
I don't think there's any relationship between that sort of violence and violent video games like Extermination on PlayStation. I think any correlation there is I don't think we should talk about this. Is my stance.
Well,
but we should talk about
Alan,
films.
Thank you for your call, and thank you for the caller to your clarity of vision, because we did what was an absolutely just a spellbinding finish to that conversation that no one else is reviewing, that no one else is talking about, and that no one else is reviewing Elephant Extermination on the PlayStation 2 tonight live on twitch.tv/EGI_2. So if you're just joining us, we're reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2, sponsored by Frame Grind Mini Gaming PCs. Back to you, Alan. What are your thoughts about what the caller was saying, and what are your thoughts moving forward about the difference between one of the things that I would like to talk about, Alan, is that we're now in the medium point between free movement of camera in a third-person space in gaming, and a kind of a hybrid between having an ability to lock cameras to cinematic versus free control.
What are you asking? Are we going to talk? I think we should talk. Let's talk about other Gus Van Sant movies.
We're not talking about Gus Van Sant movies. We're talking about Extermination on the PlayStation 2. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air with EGI_2. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Robbie. It's Max from Munich again.
Max, wonderful to hear from you. You're going into a tough year there in 2024, just as the rest of us are. So my heart goes out to you, all your friends and family and everyone in that wonderful country in which you live on that great continent, the old continent, the continent from which a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about in terms of like the spreading of viruses in Extermination on the PlayStation 2 comes to us from our understanding of how viruses spread on the old continent in that medieval period. Gus.
Gus.
I don't know much about the virus, but I discovered that just wanted to say that the control problem that Allan doesn't want to talk about.
Is Gus talking?
Gus is talking. It's Max.
Yeah. So
wait, if I could take a second, Gus, Allan can't hear you. I can hear you, and I can hear Allan, but you guys can't hear each other. So Allan, Gus from Max from Germany is telling us is explaining what he thinks is the solution to the controls issue that we've been having all evening.
So first problem, the opposite of tank controls, I would say, is Mario 64 controls, because that was the first game with this up is move in its direction of the camera is facing, not the character is facing. So this was the first game which had this modern control. And the first game, I believe, is completely free camera stick control was also Mario and Mario Sunshine, in fact. And that game came out after Extermination, so Extermination couldn't have had this free camera control because it wasn't invented yet.
Well, we know that it didn't have free camera controls, but we do know that there must have been a fully free camera control. But there must have been something, because otherwise you wouldn't have had the.
Maybe it was like in Jack and Daxter, which came out before, I believe, which had it could rotate but couldn't rotate up and downwards, just horizontally.
So
but
Allan,
I don't know
what the caller is saying is that the very first Jack and Daxter game, and I think I can back him up on this, is that we were not able to have. There was not even a full movement of camera in Jack and Daxter, and there wasn't a full 3D movement of camera until games like Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube, which didn't come out until 2002.
What are you saying to me?
I'm saying that Max from Munich, Allan, they have just put a pin, not a pin as in like a pin for later, but a finishing pin, and like when you pin a bug into a display case. Allan.
Okay, that's great. I'll be right back.
So I'm talking to Allan.
I can't hear the caller.
Well, I'm talking to you. I'm telling you what the caller's saying.
And I said I'll be right back.
Well, where are you going?
There's more.
Allan, Max from Munich, thank you for your call. I think that we've gotten a great deal of insight from you that maybe we should have been getting from Allan if he wasn't so obsessed with the workings of his.
I think he wants to talk about anything else than controls, but
right. Well.
To Allan.
I would say that he's we're having a bit of an issue with his tracts, if you catch my meaning.
You talking about me?
No. I'm talking about your tracts.
Is that what we're calling it? What are we talking about?
Max was talking about the controls, and all you can talk about is your loose tracts.
They're not loose. They're hard. That's the problem.
Caller, Max, thank you so much for your call. What an illuminating discussion, and what a great deal of information. I think that we can move forward with. Good luck.
Back to you, Robbie. Bye.
What state are you in?
Bavaria.
Good luck in the great state of Bavaria, and our hats off to you and everyone else around you. Remember. If you see someone on the street, tell them what you told us about Extermination on the PlayStation 2, and I think that we're going to be, if everybody had the same insights that you have, then perhaps in the way that the Extermination virus, the virus at the center of the Extermination game, you could disseminate a similar, it's not a virus because it's good, right? But so I'm saying make it what you said could go viral, but not with a virus.
Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure everything is correct, but I think that's historically the state of the controls.
Well, we don't have time to fact check it, Max. But I thank you for your call, and continue to wake up in the morning and go to sleep in the evening.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy travels to you.
Bye. Bye, Rob.
Max. Alan, if you're just joining us, Alan, we are reviewing PlayStation 2 exclusive survival horror game Extermination live.
Yes, I'm with you, Robbie. I can hear you. Do you remember when Gus Van Sant remade the movie Psycho shot for shot?
Yes.
Well, I was thinking it could be cool if Robbie remade Extermination. I don't know if you call it frame for frame or.
We have to be frame by frame because it's
frame by frame. So you could remake it, or you could get your friend
what are we looking at
from
here?
Night Dive Studios to do it.
What are we looking at here? 60 frames a second?
I doubt it.
40, maybe locked at 40, 55?
Not a PlayStation 2
45?
game.
PlayStation 2 games had 60 frames per second. What are you talking about?
They did?
I'm pretty sure Jack and Daxter ran at 60 frames per second.
You're the Jack and Daxter expert.
Well, if someone in the chat can tell us exactly the frame rate of Extermination on the PlayStation 2, then we could pretty much just go. What we could do is go to how long does it take to beat howlongtobeat.com, get the average gameplay length of Extermination in hours and minutes, and then divide the frames per second by the minutes and hours.
Yes, and I would cast Robbie as the main character.
As Dennis Riley, the leader of the U.S. Marine Special Team
secret our country's ever kept.
Team Red Light.
That's great. Are you going to review other games?
Absolutely.
On here,
we're going to be reviewing a number of different games over the course of this series, Alan. And if you want a quick preview of that, I'll give it to you right now. We are going to be reviewing wonderful games that fall into that 6 or 7 out of 10 category. Games like Prisoner of War, Breakdown, The Saboteur.
John McCain is a prisoner of war.
Sky Gunner, Samurai Western, and of course The Getaway.
And these are all sort of not very good games.
These are good games. Well, that's where between 6 and 7 out of 10 kind of. It's your tolerance level of 6 or 7 out of 10 games, I think, is sort of. Someone is saying that 60. People are saying, there seems to be in the chat a bit of a. It's scrolling up a little bit too fast. I can't really see it, but it does seem like there is a bit of a. There's a bit of a disagreement in the chat as to whether or not it was 30 to 60. Some of these people saying as low as 24 frames per second. I don't think that's 20. I mean, I might have exported this video at 24 frames per second, but I wouldn't say that Deep Fear Cold Extermination runs at 24 frames per second, Alan. I mean, what game does?
What game runs at 20 frames per second?
24 frames per second.
Many games. I mean, if you set that as I think. There's probably several games that run at 24 frames.
Max Mossy Lump in the chat wants to know how about Oni by Bungie, and I will say that Oni was originally on the six on a short list for tonight, but unfortunately I do find that going back and playing Oni by Bungie, the third-person fight 'em up game from the people that went on to make a iconic Halo series, Alan, and of course the somewhat less iconic, I think you could say, Destiny and Destiny 2. Well, they made a Japanese anime-inspired brawler, single-player brawler called Oni, Alan.
And this was another one of these bad games.
And I wouldn't say it's an awful game, Alan, but I don't think I could give it. I don't think with good heart and conscience I could give it higher than a 5.4 out of 10.
So it's not even good enough for you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for reminding people about Oni. And if you're wondering what the good people at Bungie were doing before they had their big break, then check out Oni, and it will remind you, and maybe remind them if people start talking about it more, that one must be humble and less. And we have, in the same way that we have enough bad people in the world, we always need more good people, Alan.
In the same way that
we also have enough arrogant people, and we always need more humble people.
there's enough arrogant people in the world. We could use a few more humble people.
And arrogance
like Robbie.
And arrogance is what brings us games like Destiny 2 and games that live service microtransactions.
So this is just sort of a poetic way of talking about microtransactions and live service games.
Right.
I follow you wherever you go. I always do feel like I understand what you're saying.
Allan, you're a friend of the show. You're a fan of the show, but you're also you're part of the family, and we are always happy to hear your thoughts, especially when it comes to classic survival horror game Extermination on the PlayStation 2.
And did you have you reviewed this game?
No, because we need to get continuing on in the GameSpot review of Extermination 2 on the from again that launch date of.
You're reading another review?
No, I'm reviewing. Oh, sorry, I'm reviewing. I'm reading the IGN review.
You're reading a different review.
So we had a little taste of the GameSpot review. Now we got to get to the IGN review.
You're reading old other people's reviews.
Because everyone's talking about the camera in the chat, and on the phone, Travis wants to talk about the camera, and I thought that it would be good to point out from the review, the IGN review, that they say this about the control. The game makes use of a sometimes awkward camera that will act as if someone is controlling it that wants you to fail at the game. It's usually not a problem, but there will be times that you'll fall off ledges or get attacked by creatures only because of the camera, and this is especially annoying because getting latched onto by one of these things, being mutations, means that you'll have to fend off the dreaded infection before you pass away. Sorry to hear that about Dennis Riley passing away. The severity of the camera problems in combat are lessened a little by the fact that there's a solid auto-aiming feature, but this makes a lot of the combat elements fairly routine. I think of what they're trying to say there, Allan, is that the combat elements, because of the auto-aiming feature, are you take away if you make the combat too easy in a survival horror game, famously, then you take away a lot of the fear.
When Dennis told me that Andrew had been killed, I lost my head.
Right.
I said some terrible things to him.
And whilst problems like these do keep Extermination, and this is again still from the IGN review, while problems like these still keep Extermination from being a great title, there's still enough good here to allow most people to get some enjoyment out of it. The story, even if not completely fulfilled thanks to the lack of serious character development, is interesting enough that you'll want to play through the game, and the simple, straightforward gameplay has a pick-up-and-play appeal that'll be perfect for someone that doesn't want to waste brain cells on puzzle solving and get right to the killing of mutated creatures.
I told myself I'd apologize the next time I saw him.
And that review from IGN
it just brings it all back.
in 2001, 6.9 out of 10.
I think people would enjoy watching you play the game.
Well, I can't play the game, Allan, because if we won't hit the quota if I'm caught playing games live on twitch.tv/EGI_2.
I guess I just fundamentally am confused about how Twitch works.
CGI2 wants just to say this episode is not virtually brought to us by FrameGride, by the way. Robbie hasn't mentioned it once, taking it. I have mentioned it once, and I've mentioned it twice, but I'll go ahead and mention, and I think I've mentioned it a third time, Allan. But I'll go ahead and mention that tonight is sponsored by FrameGride, minigaming PCs, and potentially other not what is it when someone hasn't committed to anything and doesn't even know about it?
When is it?
Twitch. So, FrameGride. Puppy Mouth says, "I want to cry," and we're all must have been. Everyone's struggling. Everyone has been struggling this evening to understand what the EGI2 score of this game is going to be.
Do you see what I have here, Robbie? Do you see what this is?
If I'm not mistaken, that is a property of AdultSwim.com.
This is an old relic from the old show. If any fans of the show remember, Robbie and I took a beautiful trip to Las Vegas, right at sort of the beginning of
Allan,
Downfall.
This just in, we are being rated by Piss.
Oh, thank you, Piss.
Thank you, Piss, for the raid. Absolutely.
Many people now watching the stream. Our numbers have been fully juiced. Thank you to
fully
Piss.
juiced. Thanks to the Piss. And we are so happy to have the folks from Piss come and spend a little bit of their evening with us.
Thank you, Piss.
As a result of this raid.
Please subscribe, sub, and follow. We only need 97 more followers to join before we give away this sexual candle holder.
And of course, and if you're just joining us, we are
96.
we are reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2. This has been I'm gonna guess, Alan, that this is probably going for the record of 4 Extermination reviews in terms of length and depth and breadth of the thing.
Absolutely. And yeah, so if you're just joining us now, please don't leave. Robbie's reviewing an old PlayStation 2 game from 2005, that, people are leaving, and it's an old game. People are leaving very quickly. It is an old game. It's reviewed around a 6 or 7 kind of a game. It's the kind of game people don't like, and no one else is reviewing this.
No one. It's not that nobody doesn't like it. It's that I think
it's not well liked.
The tolerance that people have for 6 to 7 out of 10 games is, of course, dependent on their dedication to the genre of gaming as a whole.
Right. I think that's very well said. So please don't leave. We desperately want you to be here, and thank you for following. The more people who follow, only 91 more people need to follow, and we'll give away the sexual candle holder that I make, and Robbie will stop being mad at me.
Username Haver has been our first-time subscriber. We have Vertical Mammoth subscribing. We get and we do have a hype train coming, Alan. So
please
go ahead.
Please hype.
Let's hear the song, Alan.
I don't remember how it goes. I want you to sing it.
Okay, you sing the song first.
I don't want to. I think if you sang it, it'll have more of an emotional impact.
Okay. People in the chat, if you remember the song, go ahead and start giving us this. Start singing the song, because we need to sing the song for people that are just joining us from Pitt.
Sound off in the chat and tell the new people how good Robbie is.
So if you're just joining us from the Piss stream, then this is how it works. EGI2 is we're on our way to level 2 on the hype trip, and EGI2 is a place where people can really focus in on games that came out between 2002 and 2011, with some deviations from that time period, like Extermination on the PlayStation 2, which of course came out in 2001, Alan.
Of course.
And so we've been reviewing Extermination on the PlayStation 2 all night. We started out, of course, with some history about the game. We've talked about the game's controls, issues with the camera. We've been relying on people in the chat and people from as far away as Germany to give us some insights into how those controls evolved and benefited and were part of the entire the sort of almost genetic level evolution of gaming.
People are subbing like crazy. We are quickly approaching hitting our goal and getting rid of the sexual candle.
We've got 238 subscribers. Richie Ingpiece is subscribing. At Not Very Smart 133. We love to see. Let's give them what they want. They want more Extermination on the PlayStation 2. We've got Extermination on the PlayStation 2. Say what you gotta say what you can say about Extermination on the PlayStation 2, but we've never had the kind of game like it, except for all the other games that take place in ships and in bases on the North or South Pole.
I'm gonna juice the numbers a little, Robbie.
How are you juicing the numbers, Alan?
I'm going to show the people this.
Okay, so the hype train is still going up. We've still got plenty of time to continue. People are demanding, Alan. People are demanding people are demanding Extermination on the PlayStation 2 in ways that they never had before.
This is incredible. Just cut to my camera and you'll see the numbers are quickly getting juiced. We're quickly hitting record support for this channel. and I think we're well on our way to another hype train. So thank you for the piss, and I did have a hard time taking a shit. And back to you, Robbie.
Alan, don't say. We know we hate the brown word on the stream, so please keep it keep the brown word in behind the teeth.
Got it.
And the hype train song, people are hyped about the hype train. We need the song, but we do. Doink Dingus says need that extermination. Let's see we're showing extermination in ways that extermination has never been shown before on the stream. And the song for the hype train is Alan, give me a bit of a chord or a tune here.
You want me to what?
You just start me off. Give me something. I gotta start with something. I can't just.
Okay, I'll start singing.
There was a man, he was alive. He took a train into the future, he was alive. And he was believing that he wasn't dreaming when that hype train came down those tracks. Yeah, the hype train is real, it's not a dream for us. And the game Extermination is a certified host. And the classic games of the time became the games of the future. But not in the way that they got sequels, but in fact the way they're the song. I'm losing the song. I'm losing it because of the song.
No, I think the Steamboat Willie is what boosts the numbers, Robbie.
The song. People are here for the song. They're here for extermination. They need to see the hype train. The man was on the train, and he wasn't going to sleep. He was hungry all the time. There was nothing on the train to eat.
People don't know this.
People don't know this song, but this is the first time this song has ever been sung on EGI2.
We're losing
Alan.
followers.
We're
not showing Steamboat Willie.
I could show Steamboat Willie for a second, Alan, but we got to keep the hype train going by singing the hype train song.
Okay, but there's no words in Steamboat Willie, so you can sing the song, but just show Steamboat Willie.
I can't hear it sounds insane, and the hype train is stuck at 98% with only 1 minute and 45 seconds to go. I'm not really sure what we're doing here, Alan. Do you want me to sing the song or not? Okay, go get the guitar. The hype train wasn't dream, and the man he wasn't. The man he was a real. Wait, the hype train left the station with the man on it. The hype train. Alan, I need the guitar.
I'm getting it.
Okay, give me the chord because we only got 1 minute and 20 seconds left.
Oops.
Okay, we're up to the next level of the hype train. Alan, here comes the song. All right, let's hit the hype train song. This is a hype train song that goes out to everybody.
I don't know how to play guitar.
Okay, just hit one chord. Just give me a rhythm, Alan. All I need is a rhythm to keep the hype train going because with this hype train is dedicated, and this song is dedicated to everybody who is hyped about extermination on the PlayStation 2. So just one note at a time. Give me a bit of a rhythm here. The man who was in a the man on the train wasn't dreaming. The man on the train was alive, and he gave us the game Extermination on the PlayStation 2 in 2001. And the world it changed forever in that most crucial year of ours, because not only did the two towers, but also, are you singing is this Malagueña?
Yeah, I was playing Malagueña.
Okay, we're trying to sing the hype train song. We're stuck at 16, 17%.
Robbie, I only know Malagueña.
Okay, well I don't want you to sing Malagueña. I want you to give me a rhythm for the hype train song.
I wasn't singing. It was the rhythm. It was the rhythm. It was the rhythm.
The world. Okay, so get.
Stop showing Extermination.
I can't stop showing. What do you want me to show?
Me or
okay,
you?
well, I can't.
People want to make a connection, the human eye. They trying to look into the soul.
You can't show. You can't. Well, this isn't about. This is about extermination on the PlayStation 2.
I don't know what. I'm so confused.
Okay, I'm gonna sing a song. Alan, put the damn guitar down. Because
I thought you wanted me to play guitar.
I wanted you to play me a rhythm, but you couldn't give me a rhythm. You gave me Malagueña.
Malagueña is a rhythm. All songs have rhythm.
Alan, Alan, if you don't put that damn guitar down, I'm gonna get in my car, drive over to your house, break into the thing, and pull that thing apart with my bare hands and teeth. Because we're stuck here at 17% on a level 5 hype train.
Did I juice the numbers?
No. The hype train is stuck because I can't sing because you keep playing Malabuena.
I'm going to just get up against the wall and see if that juices the numbers.
So everybody hold Allan against the wall if you can. Just go ahead and spread your hands out. Put them on your screens. The hype train is real. Raider from Piss says this is the arts. It is in fact the arts. Allan is up against the wall, and we've got the hype train song that it's got to happen right now. I'm gonna give myself a rhythm because Allan doesn't seem to know how to do anything except play Malabuena.
That was a rhythm.
The hype train was.
And explain to the new viewers how I'm up against the wall and how they're holding me up against the wall.
We're holding Allan against we're holding it up against the wall because we are playing. We're holding Allan against the wall because he can't get his hands on that guitar again. The hype train wasn't a dream. The hype train was real, and the man he was riding from the beginning to the end. It was 2001, and the world was a different place, and everybody was talking about extermination again, because the game had come out in heaven, and the game was in the news for having an infection rate that could be kept down with a vaccine. The MTS vaccine was given by crawling in a tube. The tube was the size of a man, and the train was the size of a tube, but the tube-sized train was bigger than a single man could ever be. It was 2001, and the world was a different place, and it became became more complicated as the year wore on, because the CIA made an alliance with a bunch of northern tribes in Afghanistan, and they overthrew the government quickly and made what they thought was a win, but in fact they had just put off a much more complicated and long war. But the game was called Extermination, took place in 2005 with Sergeant Dennis Riley and U.S. Marine Team Red Light. They went to the Fort Stewart to save the people there, but the people there were already gone, and they were taken away by their cells, infected with the virus that they feared would take us all. But Dennis Riley kept fighting to save who he could, but there wasn't many people left because they had all changed too. They had changed like the world in 2001. So if everybody could just close your eyes and remember the place where we were before that calamitous year 2001.
Am I still on the wall? Are
no,
you still holding me?
You come down. I think we're stuck at 14%.
So stop touching your screen.
So,
get down from the wall.
So everybody, stop touching your screen. Allan's coming down from the wall. I think I could have done a better song, Allan, if you had just given me the rhythm.
I gave you the rhythm of Malagueño, which is one of the most rhythmic, passionate songs you can play on the guitar, and I do know how to play that.
So thank you for that, Allan. The final score, of course, from twitch.tv/EGI_2's first 28%. The hype stream actually is up at 28%, so maybe we should hold off on giving up the final score.
But yeah, I'm desperate to know the final score that Robbie's going to review this game. But if we're going to have another, if it means a higher,
Cat's Paw just subscribed with Pawn, and no one else is talking. No one else is reviewing this. Joe Biden says no one else is talking about this. We do have another hype train, so we can either just sit here until the hype train timer runs out, or we can get the hype train keep going. Allan.
I dropped my phone.
Al, the hype train is, and this is the tough thing about Twitch. I think that we're having, Allan, is that rather than the scripted nature of the previous shows that we have done in the past, there's all of these things that happen that can happen whenever.
Yes, there's a spontaneous nature to this.
So there's a spontaneous nature to the hype train, but we do only have a minute left.
I'm looking for my phone.
I want to go ahead and tell everybody thank you so much for. God damn it! The hype train keeps going. All right, so we have to keep the hype. So the hype train is still happening, Allan. So what do we got? We have to think of something else because I was just about to reveal the final.
Did you try singing?
Extermination. I can sing again.
No, don't sing again.
Well, why not?
I don't know if that. Do you see the numbers? I can't find my phone, but can you pull up Steamboat Willie?
Okay, we'll pull up Steamboat Willie because we do seem like we want it. People did seem to respond to that, and until I can find another song in my head, I can't really imagine
send me through the fan,
any other way to keep those numbers goosed, Allan. We got to keep the numbers goosed.
Okay, if I can find my phone, I'll be right back.
I would have been chop suey, right? Yada yada yada. I've heard it all before.
Okay, Allan. Unfortunately, I can't figure out how to get Steamboat Willie onto the thing, and we do only have a few seconds left before the hype train does run out. So if we can go ahead and give Extermination the first. This is the culmination of this project. Is the score to which we are going to retrieve the EGI2 game review 6 to 7 out of 10 game review score.
Did you do it?
I haven't done it yet. But we got up to level 6. We've shattered our previous levels. People are excited about the game reviews show. We're gonna keep going with the game reviews show next week. Next Wednesday or Thursday. We actually might be shifting the show to Thursday. Unfortunately, Allan.
This is news to me.
So I think anyway, the final score for Extermination on the PlayStation 2, as given by EGI2, is 5.8 and 6.25.
Excuse me?